Hey guys, welcome to the Rubin Report. I'm Dave Rubin. We are doing a one-on-one this week. We have a guy who needs no introduction and truly a living legend. How about that intro?
Better than a dead legend.
Better than a dead legend. Larry King, welcome to the Rubin Report.
Thank you, Dave. Great to be with you. Always love having you on my show, and it's great to return the compliment.
I appreciate that. Actually, the first time I was on your show, I had a sweating fit when we did that Republican National Convention, and you told
Brooks moment.
that. You told me I was sweating more than Albert Brooks in broadcast news, which is truly one of the greatest moments of my career.
Broadcast news is one of the all-time great movies, I think. Great movie about the media.
Well, for everything we do, right?
And for me, especially because I saw that movie 2 weeks after quintuple bypass surgery.
Wow.
And I sat next to Mike Wallace. Everyone was at Diane. So the whole in crowd in New York, and my surgery was in New York. So we all attended that film, and everybody loved it.
Yeah. All right, well, you know what, let's start with a little bit about the media. So you have been around the media for basically your whole life, and at least
57 years.
57 years, but who's counting? What do you think are the biggest changes in the way the media landscape has? You know, you're doing an online show now. We're doing an online show.
Two major changes. One, technical, in that when I started, there was radio and television and landlines and telephone lines, and then came satellites, and now we have internet. I mean, the technological end has been incredible. And that has led to 500 channels, and anything goes. And you know, when Jackie Gleason went off the air, he had 33 million viewers. There is no show that approaches 20 million viewers. So the pie is cut up in many, many slices, and we all have a little piece of the slice, a piece of the pie rather. So when I left CNN, I thought I could retire, and then along came Carlos Slim and the internet, and now I'm on the internet every day, and who knows what's next, the delivery system. Now, the basic hasn't changed. This one-on-one has not changed. We still need the human being. That hasn't changed. The method of delivery has changed.
Are we losing something with the one-on-one? I mean, really what your trademark is, what we're doing right now. We don't get that in a way that we used to.
We don't, sadly enough, because it's eat it up, spit it out, go to the next thing. You know, come on, stay on something, grab something, jump on it, stay, bang it out, then go, whatever's next. And a lot of it leads to, I mean, some of it is absurdity. I miss in-depth interviews. You don't see much of that anymore on cable television. It's going away everywhere, and that's sad.
Do you think it's just a function of technology, or is there actually something else going? Is there something about humans and the way we're evolving?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's about humans, or about management, or about the people running networks now, or we call them the suits. They didn't come up to broadcast. They're accountants. They're the pushers. You know, what this works, that doesn't work. Keep this doesn't work. You know, classic example was at my old network, CNN, which was I loved every day of my 25 and a half years there. I did a lot for them. They did a lot for me. It was a great career. Ted Turner was the best person I ever worked for. But I didn't speak to Ted. I didn't speak with Ted recently. But if he saw what was going on now, for example, the airplane thing.
Yeah, let's go to the airplane.
For example, they covered that 24 hours a day. They missed. You had the Russians going into Ukraine. The other day, in one day, I watched a show on CNN. I forget the show, but they never mentioned other news. It was airplane. Okay.
Yeah.
And the airplane was all conjecture. We think it landed here. We might have gone here with you. Since day 2, they advanced nothing in that story but conjecture. It was breaking supposition, breaking speculation. It was never breaking news.
So if you were there now, how would you have dealt with that?
I'd have insisted, let's do other things. Now they would have said, we got a tremendous audience.
Right.
Then, well, they're the network. I would have gone. There's nothing I could do is to break it. I would have tried to urge. For example, the other day, while CNN and some other cable news networks, I'm sure, were doing airplane coast to coast, wire to wire, 10 people in Washington were killed in a mudslide. There were 3 Americans on that plane. 10 Americans died in a mudslide in Washington, no coverage. The G8 conference in Russia was canceled, rescheduled for Belgium, with Russia left out, no mention.
Yeah.
An enormous occurrence in Houston of an oil slick that destroyed hundreds and hundreds of miles of water, not covered. The President of the United States is in the Netherlands. He's talking to China about trying to get China to at least stay neutral in the Russian situation. No coverage.
Yeah,
now that is abysmal.
So who do we blame for this? Because I'm with you. Everybody feels this.
Man.
But is it a matter of ratings versus...
Yeah, ratings versus logic.
Yeah. So, and why does logic never win?
But the reason that doesn't work is, all right, you get super ratings, and you think advertisers don't know that these ratings are based on a hyped up thing? Okay, so what happens after the incident is over, whenever it ends? And you got to decide, when does it end? When does the public lose interest? Then you go back to your other program, you sink down again. The advertisers ain't going to buy you for the next 6 months based on that 2-week jump, because they all know what it was like. I'm going to buy CBS, I'm going to buy NBC for a year because, boy, the Super Bowl did great.
Right.
Super Bowl did great. I better buy NBC next Tuesday. And one has nothing to do with the other, but that's thinking, and it's sad to me.
So what do we do to change this? So you, for example, you're on Aura TV now, which is an online news network. We here at the Young Turks, we're an online news network. I firmly believe that this is the future of news.
You do the best you can. We reached 3 million people in February. You do that.
Good.
You know, it'll grow.
Yeah.
And it'll grow. It'll all balance.
Yeah.
But predicting the future in this business is impossible.
Yeah.
When I started in radio in Miami in 1957, the University of Miami owned an FM station, and FM was considered background music. I mean, who listened to FM?
Right.
They gave that station to the University of Miami. The University of Miami later sold that station, which became the #1 powerhouse station in Miami. If you'd have said in 1957, hey, FM is going to really take off, frequency modulation, come on.
Right.
You're kidding. So I've learned not to predict.
Right, and it did okay for about the last 50 years or so. Yeah. They've been okay.
Hung around, yeah.
So if we can't predict it, what do you make of the general partisan nature of news? Because to me, that's been the thing in the last 10 years.
Well,
that
Fox
really.
News and MS, that's one thing about CNN. CNN has stayed in the middle, which is a tough place to be.
Yeah. Do you think that's hurt them in a way because everyone is so partisan and is selecting what they want to hear?
Now, to CNN's credit, I'm happy that they have stayed. They've strayed a little. Sometimes you'll see opinions. I don't I can only base it on. I always thought that my opinion as an interviewer didn't count. That I was there to learn from what the guests thought. I left my ego at the door. The name of the show is Larry King Live, so I'll be back. So
they knew who you were.
So it was who, what, where, when, why, and the guests counted. On a lot of these shows, the guest is a prop for the host. The host used the word I. I is irrelevant. I don't care what the host thinks. I care what if I got a lawyer on, I don't know more law than a lawyer. I never voted in the Senate. I never carried a gun as weapon in war. I never performed an operation. How could I know more about medicine than a doctor?
Yeah.
So I might have my personal opinions on things, but I certainly value the guest and what that guest has to say. I may not agree with it. So let it come through me as a conduit, and I think that's lost.
So when you had moments that you really disagreed with someone on air,
the toughest part was in moral issues.
Yeah.
To me, the hardest part was in a racial issue. When I had to interview George Wallace, the governor of Alabama, he changed significantly. That was tough. And sometimes I did get into arguments, but I found that in those moral areas, when I got into an argument, what happened was it may have seemed exciting, but you didn't learn anything. It was just two people yelling at each other, and that's effective. But ratings are Jackie Gleason was a mentor of mine and a great man, and Jackie told me something. Pal, he always used to say pal. I could put intercourse on television, on CBS, Tuesday night for 3 hours. I'm going to wipe you out. you might as well not even go anywhere else. I own America.
Right.
That's not talent.
Right. And that was before Lucy could even put the beds together. So
That's right.
Yeah.
But I mean, of course,
Yeah.
if you could titillate the mind of people and appeal to their prurient interest, I'm going to own the night.
Yeah.
It takes no talent.
So, all right, let's talk a little bit about politicians then. Speaking of ratings and the ability to get someone to tell the truth, they often, I now see these interview shows, and politicians have a way of, no matter what you as the interviewer ask, they answer a completely different question, and they shamelessly do it. How did you?
The ones who are directly honest get shunted aside when Barry Goldwater and George McGovern were two classic examples. I've interviewed them both many times, and both passed on now. Barry Goldwater and George McGovern had no cutoff between the brain and the mouth. Yep. You asked them a question, they answered, right? Wiped out in national elections because the public and we in the media say, we want direct honesty, and then we lambaste you if you're directly honest. So what the politician tries to do is, how can I say something? And the best tip, anybody, if you're watching an interview show with a politician, and a guest is asked the question, and the politician says, I'm glad you asked that. Here's the truth. He is totally not glad you asked that. And he has said, I'm glad you asked that, so he can think of how to answer it that will appeal to the largest common denominator.
So I'm guessing you probably heard that about 4 billion times in 25 years on CNN.
But
and now
you do the best you can. What I try to do is get at the core of things. I try to ask good questions, come around in a lot of ways. But on the other hand, I have great respect for politicians for this reason. They do something that we don't do. One, they stand up and be counted. And they have what we have never had in our lives. They have a Tuesday in November where the score goes up. And we don't do that. Oh, we have ratings, but that's sporadic.
Right.
The score goes up. So I've always respected politicians and athletes. Athletes have something we don't have. One, their livelihood ends when most of our really good livelihood begins. The cheering stops when they're 40. Our cheering in life starts at 40, pretty much. And number two, they have a final score. You know, hey, you lost. You know, we don't have a final score.
Yeah.
I didn't lose 4-3 today, but somebody lost 4. Somebody played basketball last night, and one team scored 102, and one team scored 97. You can quote it all you want. The people on 97 lost. They lost.
So is that it right there? Is that the problem with the media, that we don't score things in the?
I respect athletes because they face that.
Yeah.
I respect politicians because they get a Tuesday in November that we don't have. So I begin with the respect for a man who ran for office. Then I can, if he gets jaundiced or off the beaten track, then you try to learn as much as you can. All I try to do in interviewing was learn as much as I can. When I yelled at people, I never learned anything.
Yeah. I was on your show last week, and Dennis Prager was on, who's a conservative radio host who I don't agree with, especially on the social stuff. And you've been a big supporter of the LGBT, the gay community. And I could see you were getting into it a little bit with him, but it was based in respect and honesty.
Well, I've had Dennis Prager on for years, and I like him.
Yeah.
I don't agree with him. I think on the gay issue he's way off track, but he comes from a religious bent, and he asked a question that cause you to think. And one thing I like about questions that cause you, when Dennis Prager said, if you had two people, you're the judge, someone's going to get this child, a gay couple or a heterosexual couple, and they're equally valued, who would you give the child to? And I think the correct answer, you might give it to the gay couple, but it wouldn't depend on that. But I can see where he's coming from, where you can make a case for that. And I like great moral arguments like that when someone's presented to me, because it causes, what we want to do is think. We want to progress. We want to think. I read an article the other day. Should we be mad at Woody Allen? Should we not see a Woody Allen movie because of what he did with supposedly his young son? Right. Should we not? So, and the question was posed this way, and I love this. Supposing I showed you a great painting, and you loved it. What a painting. It captured drama. And then I told you Hitler painted it. Would your opinion of the painting change?
It probably would.
Why?
I guess that wouldn't be in the most purest artist sense of it, but knowing where it came from, can you separate the art from the artist?
But those are great moral questions.
Yeah.
We ask them all the time. That's the kind of thing I like.
Yeah.
That's the kind of give and take, wherein you could have a guest. May not want to buy the painting, but the guest could defend buying the painting on its value at its core.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And those are great arguments that you don't see anymore.
So speaking of that, do you see the gay movement as sort of the civil rights
I do.
thing
I know that
of
now.
our time?
However, I went through a lot of things. You know, when you've been in business 57 years, I was in Miami when Anita Bryant
Yeah.
started the Let's Be Civil movement, and it was an anti-gay movement. And we had a ballot to give gays the right to open housing. And the biggest attack on that vote was the blacks. They voted 98% against it, against a bill that would have given gays complete rights in Miami. And the reason was they said, don't put us in the gay rights category. We have a color, you know, we're not gays. That's completely changed. Gay is a civil rights issue, and what the people opposed to it have to face is it's a losing war.
Right.
You're done, Coyote.
So what about the politicians then? Because these people, if they want one thing, it's to remain in power, right? And that's the part that I don't understand.
See a change. I saw George Wallace
Yeah.
go from barring the door at the University of Alabama, not letting a student enter, to his chief of staff being black.
Yeah.
I saw that. I lived when I arrived in Miami to break into broadcasting, I got off the train, and the first thing I saw was a water fountain that said color only, and I drank out of that fountain. It was good water, by the way. Then I got on a bus to go over to Miami Beach to stay with my uncle, and I sat in the back of the bus, and the bus driver pulled over and said, you have to move to the front, because the back of the bus is for Negroes, and the front of the bus is for whites. I couldn't believe it. I was from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So I said, my father's black. You know what I mean?
So you sit in the middle?
The
Where did he-
stupidity of segregation.
Yeah.
The utter stupidity of it. But in Miami, a progressive city, in 1957, blacks and whites couldn't compete against each other on the football field.
Yeah.
They could not.
Incredible.
Now, all these teams now, the entire Mississippi basketball team's black.
Yeah.
Alabama basketball team is black. They're all,
Yeah.
you know,
So
it's
what do you-
just,
yeah.
so now we've seen that equation. We have a black president. Yes, we'll have a gay president. Yes, we'll have a female president. Life is changing, and the politician will have to change along with it, or lose.
Right. Well, you're giving me a perfect segue then to let's do a little bit of political footballing. So 2016's coming. We've talked a little bit about it on your show. Hillary is it a foregone conclusion as much as I don't want?
If she wants it, she's the nominee. I don't think Biden will run against her. I think with the promise that he'll be Secretary of State, I think that's logical to think that he'd be a great Secretary of State, Joe Biden.
What do you make of the idea that we'd have these families then? You know, it would be the Bushes and the
Barbara
Clintons?
Bush is totally opposed against it.
Yeah.
Barbara Bush doesn't want Jeb to run.
Yeah.
She says, I love Barbara Bush, one of my favorite people of all time. Yeah. Stop with this already. Stop with the Bushes and the Clintons. Stop.
Yeah.
We've had enough.
But isn't that how most of America feels, don't you think? That we're sort of this is just being pushed on us again, like, oh, now Jeb, and now Hillary, and then it's going to be Malia 2024 and Chelsea 2030, or switch those two, you know?
But you know what? Americans like it. And do you know why Americans like it? Because John Kennedy said it best. What Americans really want is a kind king. That is, leave us alone.
Yeah.
Now, if you could do that as the Adamses or the Bushes, or had John Kennedy lived, the Kennedys, Robert would have been president, right? Ted, if he had didn't have Chappaquiddick, he'd have been. We like that. There's something inside of us likes the fact that we have this family protector. It's a godlike thing. They're our protector, you know.
And doesn't it seem sort of backwards, though, to how our country was born, because we left England?
Against that,
yeah. So what do you think that says about?
Because I think Kennedy had it right. We'd like a kind king. You don't have a decision to make. Just don't bother us. In other words, don't throw us in jail for a crime we didn't commit.
Yeah.
Don't prevent us from doing things we want to do, but please be nice.
Yeah.
Just be nice. You know, don't send our citizens off to war where they're going to get killed unless they could really justify. Just be nice. A kind king.
Kind king. Well, on that note, I got two more for you.
I'm a kind king.
You're a kind king. I can tell. I'm feeling the kindness. How do you like being on this side of the interview?
I like being interviewed. Peter Ustinov, the great actor, once I asked him that if he liked being interviewed. He said, "I love being interviewed because it makes me think about things I don't think about." In other words, I don't drive around all day interviewing myself, so it forces you to think. So when you're asked good questions, as you've been asking good questions, it forces me to think. I like to think. When there's stupid questions, then that throws you a little. I've had some of those.
Yeah.
The best instance of that was I was touring a book. I've written 16 books. I was touring a book, and I was on a show called Good Morning Dallas. Now I could tell you right away. I could tell you right away. You know what the host and hostess look like, right? I don't tell you
I have something in my mind. Generic.
Right. The host had perfectly coiffed hair, and the woman had blonde hair, puffed around it.
Yeah.
And the woman was scheduled to interview me. And as she's asking me questions, I can see that she's reading off the questions on a piece of paper, is not listening to my answers. And while I'm answering it, she's like fixing her hair, and the crew is looking, and I'm answering the questions. And a fourth question was, what makes a good talk show host? And I said, well, I don't know about other people, and I can tell she's not listening. But what helps me the most is being in the CIA. Because by being in the CIA, what happens is they get me great guests, and I can tip off spies around the world. And then she goes on to another thing. Well, raising children, is that? That's it.
Yeah, and you don't think she heard a word you were saying?
Did not hear a word.
Yeah. Well, you've done something right on this side of the table too, because I haven't looked at my notes once, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. So my final question to you is, I can tell the people you're 80 years old, right? That's public.
I had a big.
That's public
record.
record.
Major party was at Dodger
Oh yeah, the party
Stadium.
at Dodger Stadium. Was that as big of a thrill for you? You're a baseball guy. Was that
thrill
as big?
and a shock at the same time? My wife pulled it off. I don't know how she pulled it off. To set all those people up.
Yeah.
To walk into that stadium, I thought I was going to a meeting of season ticket holders. It was illogical. They had a great ploy.
Yeah.
They had a letter from the Dodgers to me. Season ticket holder come on Friday night. Wasn't my birthday. Birthday was coming 4 days later. Mm-hmm. I thought she was going to do something on my birthday night. I was on Jimmy Kimmel on my actual birthday, and that was booked a long time ago. So I thought they were taking me somewhere after Jimmy Kimmel. Right. That's what I thought.
Right.
So it totally threw me.
Yeah.
And they had like almost 300 people there at home plate. Kids in uniform playing baseball. The stadium was all lit up. My thing up on the scoreboard. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
So I can see it in your eyes. I mean, baseball really is your.
I grew up with it. It's intrinsic in me. My boys play it. The biggest thrill I get in my life is watching my kids play. I was not a good athlete. I'm a baseball fan. Like last Saturday, my son pitched for Notre Dame freshman. He's in freshman in high school. And I watched him on the mound. And he's, there's one guy sitting next to me. He says, "Wait, that kid's a ball player. Just the way he moves. He's got swagger, and baseball. There's a move an athlete has. You can know if a guy's a player. He's a player. Just the way he comes out of the dugout, the way he handles his glove, the way he looks, the way he does. And he pitched shutout innings, and he struck out the side in the first inning. And I'm sitting there, and the Jewish term is kvelling.
Yeah.
Kvelling is when you get a thrill for something else happened to someone you care about. And I was remembering his birth. I cut the cord. Mm-hmm. I cut that.
You didn't do the foreskin yourself, did you?
No.
No. Okay, good.
And I saw him born, and now he's 15 years old, pitching for Notre Dame on a beautiful high school field. You never saw a field like this. They built. It was just, how could you top that? So nothing I did in the 80 years, nothing topped that.
Well, I think you've answered my final question here, but how I wanted to end this was, what do you think? My grandma would always say, what's it all about, Alfie? So what do you think? 80 years, you've interviewed literally everybody from every walk of life. You've talked to everybody, listened to everybody. Now, father, the whole thing. What do you think it's all about at the end of the day? What do you think?
You know what? There was a famous Nobel Prize winner who lived to 95 years old, and he was at a dinner table, and someone said, I shouldn't forget his name. When you're 80, you start to forget the name. What do you know? 95 years. What do you know? And he said, and I would put this as my epitaph, the only thing I know is that I don't know.
Well, on that
What's
note,
it all about, Alfie? I don't know. I asked Stephen Hawking, supposedly the smartest person in the world, the physicist.
Mm-hmm.
You're the smartest person in the world. What don't you know? What is something you don't know? And he said, women.
I think he's married, though, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
I think he's married, so that tells you something.
Because you're married, you know.
Exactly. Well, on that note, I want to thank you. This has truly,
Thank you, David. Anytime. My pleasure.
truly been an honor for me.
And we'll have you back on again. You're a great guest.
I appreciate that. You are a great guest. So you guys can check out Larry King Now and Politicking on Aura TV and on RT. And wow, I feel like I got to go get a drink or something. This has been pretty great. All right, thanks.
Get me one too, David. It's been trying.
Done.